Thank you. Thank you for joining our channel. We are so happy that you have joined us again. Today, we are going to talk about guilt. And for those who have subscribed, we want to tell you how much we appreciate you. And if you have not, and you do enjoy this channel, please subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
Okay, today the topic is guilt, and we've been reading a book, and it has really been a tough chapter. It's a chapter on guilt, because I think that since guilt comes through our subconscious and it's been embedded into us from all our beliefs, it's kind of hard to really pin it down. But we're still working on it. I think we'll need to work on it for a while because at first it just confused us to no end, because the author actually divided into two types of guilt: real guilt and false guilt. And at first we had to agree on what was real guilt and what was false guilt. And that took a while because the example the book gave us were very, they were clean cut and a little vague. But then we had to start analyzing it through our lives, our viewpoint, how maybe subconsciously we used it against our loved ones.
And since we have different perception about what we believe in and what we as people believe that should be right and needs to be wrong, or it is wrong, I feel that this is one of the reasons why it's become a difficult chapter. I know that now true guilt versus false guilt is suppressor versus being suppressed.
Yes.
So which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with false guilt, because I think that's the one most people can relate to more
easily.
False guilt is when somebody makes you feel guilty about not doing something or about doing something. So you have the guilt, but the guilt comes from, it's false. And the reason why it's false is because it's based on the other person's beliefs, not your beliefs. An example of this is that, most of us that grew up in a Latin household have had this guilt upon us. I would, an event's coming up, and I would say, Mom, I need to lose some weight, okay? So do not be upset if I make my own meals or if I, eat very little. It's because I'm going to supplement it with veggies and fruit. So don't be upset. And she'd say, oh, Mija, I will support you whatever you do. And then, we'd be in 3-4 days into it. And then suddenly I would come home from work, and what was in the stove? One of my favorite meals. It would either be mole or it would be what we call pascal, which is the green mole, made from pumpkin seed. And then she would say, and she would want to serve me a huge plate, and I say, no, I'm gonna serve myself. Let me just get a little bit because I love this, but remember, I'm on a diet. And then she would say, but I cooked it for you. I did this for you. So I would feel bad. Guilt. I would feel that false guilt because, she made it for me. And it wasn't my guilt. I had I shouldn't have felt it at all, but I felt the guilt that she inflicted on me. So that's false guilt. On her part, it was real guilt, because she was trying to manipulate me into eating her food, even though I told her, So it's one of those things. I don't think that my mom did it maliciously.
Right. Okay.
But I think that in her subconscious, it was like, oh, I need to take care of my daughter. And, I need to make her favorite meals because she worked so hard. But really it was guilt. I was going to be guilted into doing something.
So you kind of gave the false guilt, which you would have been the false guilt, and she was doing the true guilt without being malice, not meaning to be, the one to manipulate you into not continuing that.
Exactly.
Well, I have an example, but I think I can go both ways, but I think it's more of a definition of what Terry Cole Whitaker calls false guilt. And not too long ago, what happened was that, we were going, there's an event, and my son was going to take his son to this event. And so I called him up and I asked him, I go, well, are you going to this event and are you going to be taking your son? And he goes, yes, Mom, I am. But because we're so used to being together, going to these trips together, I felt that he was quiet. And I contribute that reading Cold Whitaker and caught on to it right away and found that, oh my goodness, is he quiet because he thinks I'm trying to convince him to invite me and my husband? And quickly I responded to him. I go, you don't need to invite us, sweetie, because you know what? This is you and your son. But I know that inside of him, he felt that guilt. He goes, oh my gosh, I want to take my son, but I feel like because Mom is asking me, I should really try to invite my parents. That's an example of the false guilt.
Yes.
Now, I unknowingly, maybe I was being true guilt because by asking him, maybe I just hoped that he would invite us. I didn't think he would invite us. And that's where we feel that this chapter is pretty difficult because, again, you try to be nice because you're going to remember this, you're going to remember that. But subconsciously, we have so many habits, so many behaviors that, knowingly and unknowingly, we can hurt other people. But then again, it's all about guilt. And that's what the author talks about. She talks about that we are born with this. We hear it all the time. Sometimes it's maliciously and sometimes it's not. And we try to convince others to come to our side of the circle. And we ended up, we use whatever maneuver we can use. And then we use it, true guilt, which is we do it maliciously or consciously. And we want them to change their minds, like come over here, and we do it in a certain way of making sure that it's their decision, but in reality it was our decision to make sure that they had that.
And we just can't help it. Like I know now that I use it against my husband. I'm very family oriented and I'm a social butterfly, let's just face it. My husband is not. I used to think that he was really social, but no, he's not. And my family has a lot of events, and I realized that what I was doing is I was talking him into going to our family events
by using
guilt.
What kind?
Well, on my part, it was real guilt. On his part, when he would accept to go to whatever function I wanted to go to, it was false guilt. Because he felt guilty not because of what his beliefs, but because of my beliefs. And my belief was like, I have a husband. You need to go with me to my family functions, but it's not his nature. But he would come, and because I guilted him into coming, it's like, what do you mean you're not going to come? I'm going to be the only one there by myself, or And yes, I think that even though it's within my subconscious, I consciously was trying to manipulate him into going. Have you done that too?
Well, I can tell you that I can easily be in your husband's position. I don't think that I'm a butterfly, a social butterfly. I don't think I am. But I know that some people wish I could be. And so I do feel the false guilt. I do know that when my husband tries, or my family tries, or my buddies, or you guys try to convince me to do something, and that's the word I guess I want to use, convince. I don't think you guys do it maliciously, but I feel that, if it's against your feeling, if it's against what you're thinking of, and you have to be convinced of, and if it's purposely, it would be true guilt.
Yes.
But if it's just like, come on, let's be as a family, let's be as a group, let's be as a friend buddy, I think it's just trying to, let's, mingle together And it's not being mean though. It's not being bad if I don't want to. It's just that it isn't in me to be in that position or in that environment at that moment. So I do understand your husband, because sometimes it's best to just leave you alone and be you, and it's best for him to be him and just be him, because I am in that position. And that is what I tell you guys. You go ahead, you do your thing. So, I mean, this is kind of difficult when we discuss guilt, whether it's true, whether it's false. It's very difficult to come up with, sometimes I even think, oh, is it bullying? Could it be bullying, Rosie?
Well, I think that, yes, sometimes if it's malicious, it can be bullying, because we're inflicting what we want to do on others that may not necessarily want to do it. So yes, I think that bullying comes from guilt.
Yeah, and I think it also comes from the paradigms, from our behaviors, from our habits, and we need to make sure that we understand each other. The guilt is really in the subconscious. It has no choice. The conscious has a choice. When we want to get rid of that guilt, which we can, but we got to work at it, we need to understand why we want to get rid of it. Does it benefit us to get rid of this guilt?
Yeah.
How is it that it's going to benefit us? And we got to make that decision. And once we make that decision, we have to commit to it. Because once you make the decision, it's not like, okay, well, I'll think about it tomorrow. No, once you make it, you commit to it. And once the commitment is done, then you already started.
Yes.
And you understand, well, I think this way. I did say this. I did say that. Maybe there's different formats in which we can say something so we can have better communication. And I think this is what this chapter is all about. Having a better communication with the other person, having a better relationship with others, and possibly just knowing ourselves a little bit more and making that change. And it's okay. It's okay to be you, and it's okay not to always be you.
Yes. I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. Sometimes we want to be who we are, but we have to sometimes maybe step out of our comfort zone, and it's okay. It's like, my husband does go to some functions with me, and he does it, and I feel that he does have a good time, but it's because he is willing to have a good time. He has to make that choice. I can't have a good time for him. He has to decide that. So yes, we have to consciously get out of that guilt on our own.
And and learning about yourself. And this is what we are all about. All about you, all about me. If you learn about yourself and you learn that you can have what you really want, you will make an effort to do anything and everything within your power that it's acceptable, and to make that decision. And the one and only source we have is God. We don't have our spouses as a source, because they need to be their own source.
Yes.
We don't have our friends to be our source, because again, they need to be themselves. You can't rely on anyone else like you rely on yourself.
Yes.
And so self-growth, personal growth is essential, and it's never too late.
Never.
It's never too early. The more you learn about yourself, the more understanding you have about how you think, how you speak, and what you do. Then you can make the decision and say, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. I want to do better. Today is the day that I commit myself. Today is the day I make that decision. Whether it's guilt or not guilt, whether it's false, whether it's true, it's still me. And I love me, and I'm going to make an improvement on me. Not on my spouse, not on my children, not on my buddies, and it's all about your attitude towards it.
Yes, you have to be true to yourself. No one can change you. The only person that can change you is you.
So we thank you, and we look forward to you listening and watching us. And remember,
Subscribe.
subscribe. Bye now.
Thank you.